Hey, this is JD Frost. Welcome to the VIP Investment Club. And we have had quite a bit of time go by from our last meeting. So we are getting together on a Zoom call today to just get a state of where the investments are. We have had COVID-19. We've got riots in the streets. I mean, all kinds of things have happened ever since we even had our last meeting. And guys, like, I know there's been so much that's happened in the world. We've had change in personnel, like Matt Church isn't here anymore. We've got a new person that's in charge of the investments in the Charles Schwab account. So I just wanted to update everybody on kind of where things are at this point in time. So, you know, what's been going on in y'all's worlds? I mean, what do y'all think about what's happened with coronavirus and everything, and like your particular businesses? I think that'd be interesting to hear about. So what about you, Colby? Why don't you start out kind of what your world has been like over the last, 3 months?
So been working from home or remote, I guess you would say. Workplace has changed drastically. Of course, the stock market has been way down and up. Different than I've ever seen being my age. So interested to see what Andre says since he owns his own business.
Yeah, Andre, what's it been like for you?
Man, COVID is terrible, and it has been the best business marketing tool I've ever had as a company. So it's like these two extremes of like, what a terrible thing, what a blessing. So that's a weird place to be in, because I know some people have, family and friends that have passed away from this terrible, terrible virus. For us, as a software company that makes software that helps you virtually communicate with people, it's been exceptionally amazing. So we've seen strong growth in that. My video clientele, at first that skyrocketed as well. We have a video studio, and that really took off for a little bit. And then as restrictions kind of kept coming in more and more, then that started slowing down. And then at some point I just made the decision to just go ahead and turn it off and use that time. I'm doing a business, just an office remodel, building out a new green room and a new conference room and new storage, and just kind of just taking that time to plan an outage basically, and just say, hey, that's not going to be available. And we're just going to kind of build in infrastructure, a new hair and makeup area, and just kind of like elevate it so that when things come back on, it's just in a whole nother tier than where it's been before. So that's what we've been doing. But yeah, business has never been better for us, which is very fascinating. We've worked more hours and longer hours because I think some of that is there's no concept of break. It's just you're kind of at your home working.
Yeah, when do you stop?
Yeah. Right? So that was something I realized as an entrepreneur. I already kind of have some systems to help me know when to stop and start, but I realized a lot of my employees did not have that concept. So we had to kind of work into that and help them kind of get a more balanced rhythm. So it's mostly employees are still at home. Some are back. We're just kind of, as a tech company, we can kind of do it from anywhere. So I'm letting everybody kind of set their own path on that. And there's no hurry to get us all back together. We can do Zoom efficiently. Yeah. So it's been a blessing for us, and in the midst of a lot of pain for a lot of people. So I don't want to overshadow that, but just from a business perspective, it's been really strong growth for us.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I mean, those businesses that already were online or were kind of like, I know your business is like totally under the radar pretty much, or it seemed like that to me.
Yeah.
And like, in light of what is going on in the world, how quickly that can change your trajectory. That's pretty amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really great. Yep.
For us, it has been like really touch and go with the due date changing on tax returns. I mean, people aren't as motivated to get their returns done, but then you got this PPP loan coming out and the EIDL, and everybody wants free money and they need it now because they think the end of the world's coming, and they've got to act now like high emotions, high stressed out people. I mean, we've been dealing with a lot of stressed out business owners. And I mean, understandably so. I mean, I get it. But the ones that have been the most successful have been the ones that have kind of kept their head the entire time, understood that this is going to be a very unpredictable time, and being able to live in that unpredictability is key in being able to maintain long-term growth during a time like this, I feel like. And like you were saying, like kind of start to set your own schedule and decide on when it's time to stop working. I mean, there was a time in March when I was like, I mean, the end of March, beginning of April, I mean, I just didn't stop. Like it was constant research, work, knowing, I mean, but for our brand and for us, it was just like you, Andre, like it was an incredible time and continues to still be a time where we can stand out as experts and be able to stand out as like, hey, we know what we're talking about. We can help you. We have ways to help you. And, so that's the way it's been kind of for us. I'm sorry that I got, completely distracted with everything. And like literally a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh shit, like it's like we had the VIP investment club, like, I'm sorry. Like I honestly, just lost track of it. So that's why we got together here.
I just assumed we just didn't want to look at the stock market too detailed.
He tried to jump in there and got we jumped back into the fight and got just clocked right at the very beginning. Right. Like, and then we were like, oh gosh, okay, what are we doing here? Like, let's just step out of the ring a little bit. And so we're going to get an update. I see James came on here. How you doing, James? Thanks for coming on here, dude.
I think the hackers got us here too. We've been, our phones and internet and everything have been up and down all day. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. He doesn't mean on the stock account, guys.
Well, everyone's aware that the entire country was down last night and today, and
yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Yeah,
it was not good.
Our software has been running like a champ. Anyway, continue on.
But that's because we got high-speed internet here, right? The fiber optic. Anyways, as I was saying, we jumped back in the market. We, got knocked in the teeth for a minute, and then Matt Church isn't here, so James Whitley has kind of stepped up. He was doing some day trading and like other things on his own, and I was like, man, do you mind helping to do this part of it? So he's kind of volunteered to do that. So I feel like to begin with, let's kind of like just talk about where we are with our investments. I'll start by saying, part of our investment was $25,000 to Croft. Okay. So we, took that loan. It's earning 15% interest. So we have $1,250 of interest that's been earned so far. That's in the bank account. We had a little over $1,400. So add the $1,250 to the $1,400, you get about $2,600 in the bank account right now. That's a result of that investment. We've been doing really well as a company through this time, continuing to grow, continuing to add clients, and our jump method system is really helping a lot of people, and so that's been really good so far. So I think from even despite a lot of this uncertainty, that has been an investment that we've made that is that we're earning our money there. Okay. Obviously,
thanks for being a good payer of.
I'm a little biased there. And our agreement on that was like we wanted to get the money working. That's the way we're doing it. We're basically funding a fund called Neptune Fund that we are using to help clients that can't pay their bill. And so that's what we're kind of advancing to us. And that's why we're paying the 15% interest on that. So it's kind of a way of indirectly factoring receivables in a sense. That's basically what we've loaned against is those receivables that we have. Now, what has sucked for us is the IRS was closed for about 3 months and hasn't reviewed any tax returns. And so for us as a company, we're getting paid based off of, people getting the refund checks, everything being completed all the way to the end, which affects our receivables as well. So, that's been something that's actually affected us quite a bit with the IRS being closed. I mean, it's everything with the IRS. Those that are watching, if you have an outstanding IRS notice, if you have an outstanding refund, any kind of audit, filed a tax return, it is going to take twice as long for that to get to a conclusion. So, if you're waiting on a refund right now, typically it's 4 to 6 weeks. It's probably going to be 8 to 12 weeks. If you paper file a tax return, it is, it's going to be probably 12 to 16 weeks. So Meg was just telling me to say today's date. What is today's date?
16th, June 16th.
June 16th. So if I'm telling you this and it's like July, whatever, June 16th. So that's kind of the state of that investment. The rest of our account is in that Charles Schwab account. And James, if you don't mind to kind of update us on that, that would be awesome.
So we logged into that today, and I can go back and do a whole account review of everything, but I know we took some money out to invest in some accountant we know. And so currently the cash on hand in the account is $29,113.37. We currently hold 350 Delta. Is that me or?
Colby, would you mind muting? I may be on your end. I'm not sure.
There we go.
We currently have 350 shares of Delta Airlines, which, if you all remember, we purchased.
Just hang on, everybody. Just hang on.
And then we executed a stop loss. Then, okay, I guess I'm going to take blame for the fact that I then responded with, when did we agree to a stop loss? To which then the response was, sorry, bought back in. And so we are currently
Be professionals.
down $1,747 on that current holdings, but I believe the sale for a loss would be significantly more than that on the first stop loss. But it appears, if I read this correctly,
It's going to come back.
If I read this correctly, it's tough because of the money in and out. But it appears that we are still in the green, thanks in large part to Andre and Tesla from the initial.
You're gonna say thanks to Andre and Delta. You just gotta hang on. We just gotta give it a little bit. It's gonna take some time.
Let me make sure I understand. So we have $29,000 available in cash, and
Yep.
then I just
350 shares of current
our shares in Delta are like what, 8,500 or something like that. If it's
10,959.
Okay, so all of our money is accounted for,
Yes.
and we still have made money so far.
Yeah, we're still
overall.
If only we just bought more Tesla. Okay, anyway.
Oh, dude.
Moving
Seriously.
on.
Seriously.
So when was the investment made with Croft?
That was 3 months ago. So April.
That was 12 months.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It was at the first interest amount, I believe, was due in April. So we started it technically at our last meeting, which was right at if Meg can confirm with me when that was, it would have been after that show.
Okay.
Yeah. So with where we are now, I mean, we've got the investment in Croft. You know, I personally love the money, like, you know, moving around a little bit. February 10th. There you go. So it would have been right after that. So March, April, May. Yeah. I put in there 3 months. So it'd be March, April, and May. And then we owe June still on the interest payment. So yeah. The stock that we have, like, I mean, I would love to put some of that other cash to work, but like, I mean, with the way the market is right now, I mean, does anybody have any ideas? Do we have any clue on what we want to be doing there?
Well, like I told you, and I'm already saying I'm refusing to do this for the group, but with the way the market is, you have to be so on the spot. I've actually had the best couple months I've ever had in the market. It's been the most incredible market ever, but I'm not holding anything even overnight, almost ever. There's a couple that so it'll be swing trades for like 10 days or something, but everything's so volatile that you don't know when there's going to be news or maybe a tweet from a certain individual or, you know, something that's just going to rock the market. And if it's after hours, you can really get hold. But there have been some pretty good ones that have made a pretty good, you know, recovery. And you can see different sectors. For instance, like today, oil's starting to run again, you know, so it depends how active we all feel like being in it. You know, retail, you know, came back, you know, a little bit. Shopify was one that I still think has some room, but I was holding in the deal with Walmart. It had a huge day yesterday. Anything that somehow links its name to COVID-19 just goes to the moon. But for how long, you don't know. So, you know, there's a lot of different sectors and things that are interesting to look at. But again, just because I can log in and see it now, you know, that makes me super nervous. But if anybody's got some ideas on longer term ones,
why does it make you nervous? I mean, it's just money.
Yeah.
It's just money.
What do you think, Andre?
I think if James has been making a bunch of money, I'm wondering why he's been holding out on us. Let's get in on that.
Well, you know, some of the stuff that he recommended, you know, you didn't want to invest in because
you make money off of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean
he did.
Penn was a good run. The casino ended up working out really well. So
yeah, that's fine. See. It's not only about money.
I mean, what did you say?
It's not only about money.
I hear they put on
a camaraderie, right? It's a camaraderie.
Fantastic buffet, and they have a lot of nice variety shows in Pennsylvania at the casinos. So
sure they do.
So, I mean, what I hear you saying is that, like, we need to start day trading some of this stuff.
No. I'm not bringing the penny stocks to the game. Those are fun.
Oh, gosh.
I agree with James. I mean, you have to be really responsive a lot faster than 10 emails coming through with a trade, especially if news breaks on something.
Yeah. I mean, what if we peeled off like, we got 29,000. What if we peeled off 10 grand and let James just kind of play with it for a month or so?
I'm not taking that responsibility.
What if James just emails me and says, "Hey, this is what we should do," and I just give him the go ahead? I'll take the responsibility.
So here's the angle I was going to give you on.
Yeah, angles.
I'm not doing the penny stocks. They're fun, and you should look into it if you have time. But I'm not doing it.
I don't want to do penny stocks.
Well, when I say penny, if you're like sub $10, you're looking at.
Oh, I don't want to do that
pretty fast. But so here's some of the ones to look at, and this is again, if you want to talk about it, things that are pretty hot right now that would be sectors to look at would be cybersecurity. There's a lot of companies that are into that. And then also a couple that I've looked at just in light of things that are going on are any sort of like drone, body cam, different companies that make technology like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big shift
Body
towards
cam for sure.
CCTV and stuff. And one that, and again, I haven't done a ton of research, so JD, don't just say buy it. But it's called Digital Ally, DGLY, and I've been a busy day today, so it's down 30 cents at the moment. It's only at 46, but they've signed some big contracts with some cities and municipalities and stuff and everything. So there's some companies like that I was curious when you and I spoke earlier, just poking around, that again, if we're trying to find more of those 30, 60 day type plays that, as this stuff comes around, if we're going to see a trend in the country to less manpower and more, robotics and, like, what is it? Boston Dynamics they're backed up for months on robots because they want to start putting the robots out to interact with people instead. And cameras and drones and body cameras and all that kind of stuff is probably going to be a pretty hot sector.
Okay. Does anybody have any other investment opportunities that they've heard about? Any more movies, Andre?
Andre's the Tesla guy, so we keep going back to him, right? You made it.
I know.
I mean, why not? Like, if it's working.
Stock Oracle, come on.
That's hilarious. I mean, I think everything is in a weird, obviously none of us know, right? I mean, like nothing has happened like this. So, I mean, what we know for sure though, is that a lot of things are going to turn back on. The thing that's keeping it from turning back on is that there still is a pandemic and people are still getting sick, and right. So the question is like, which things are going to, see, I look at all this like, well, we don't need to get our money back in 90 days. I'm not sure I'm thinking that short term on any of this stuff. I mean, people are going to fly in airplanes again, and people are going to travel again. All this stuff is going to happen again. And so even if this is 2 years down the road, but we double our money, I'll double my money every 2 years. That's fine. So I don't know. I mean, in general, I would say there's a lot of amazing companies that are killing it and doing amazing stuff, but COVID stopped them. But they'll turn back on. Restaurants are turning back on. Things are turning back on. So as those things turn back on, they'll jump back pretty quick, I think. I think what will happen, though, is we're going to turn everything back on, and then a bunch of people are going to get sick again, and then we're going to turn things back off again. And so I think we are going to have at least another something like this. Because I was telling somebody the other day, well, of course they were like, well, the numbers are up. It's like, well, the numbers will always be up because only more people will get sick, or it's not. So that number is going to always kind of grow. But I will say it does seem like, at least in America, most of America now, they're kind of over it, and just kind of like, I mean, like if you go to if you use Walmart as a litmus test, which, wow. But if you look at kind of, middle America, and I mean, they're barely wearing a mask. They're just kind of like, let's just move on with this. So it is interesting to see pretty quickly travel. We went to the beach a few weeks ago and it was pretty busy. And so kind of didn't look like coronavirus existed at all there. So I think people are starting to they're starting to be polarized into two major camps, right? Of you're trying to kill me because you're not wearing a mask, or you're trying to kill me because you're telling me to wear a mask. I don't know, whatever, on all sides of the equation, right? So all that to say, I think my summary is now there's a lot of stocks that are still down. And these are great companies that as we start getting increased monies back in the marketplace, it's going to, a lot of these things are going to continue to return. Now, things that are interesting are like, well, what's going to happen to all this office space once everyone figured out we don't actually have to physically all show up to get our work done? That's interesting. There's some things that are going to create some real disruptions in commercial real estate and other things like that I think will be interesting. So as I put a bunch of money into my office, but Yeah, so I think there are some interesting things like that. But as far as specific stocks, I really, again, I've been so slammed, kind of like what you were saying, Jonathan. The past few months have been an all-consuming fire for our company. So we've had explosive growth, and it's been incredible. And so we've just been very focused on that and trying to make all that do what it needs to do. So I wouldn't say I'm fully up to speed, except I feel confident Delta is going to kick tail, and I mean, we're already seeing some recovery happen, and it's going to come back strong. We just got to wait a little while on that one. But other than that, no, I don't have specifics. I think, James, if you're killing it in the market, we should get in on that action. Help us, man. Help us make some more money.
I feel like totally is not up for being that person making that call.
No, so I was a finance major, and that's what I always wanted to do was Wall Street and all this stuff, and being forced to work from home. And I was even more tight on it because my wife's got some immune issues, and A, I found I was way more efficient at home. B, I haven't traveled anywhere at all. And so normally I'm traveling all over the place. And then I wasn't going out to eat. I wasn't staying out late. I wasn't doing any of this stuff. So I was getting up even earlier, and I just needed something to do. And so I started just playing around more instead of just holding blue chips forever, and kind of got back into it. And apparently everybody is now, because that's the article, Mark Cuban came out and said the day traders are ruining the market. So, it was just something fun to do with some, side money until JD takes it all from me. So
I love it. That is the perfect beginning to James's YouTube video story of how he made over $12 million in the market. Something. So follow his 4-step program where you can't lose.
JD's gonna help me film the coursework for it. So.
Yeah, totally.
Already got the intro done. I was at home, well rested, and started making some interesting decisions.
Yeah. So, I mean, with all of that,
and I wasn't, it was just a good time. It was at the bottom, and like I said, those Corona
Everything
stocks
was on sale.
All the pharmaceutical stocks that if they mention Corona, it's just like gunpowder. It's incredible to watch. So, but to your point, Andre, you want to talk about bigger companies. I mean, Zoom, I've held that for a couple of years. I think it's probably pretty high already. But you look at a company like Slack that is going to probably really pick up from the fact that a lot of people aren't ever going to go back to work. I mean, I got a friend that works for JP Morgan, and they sent out a memo that said they may just leave everything as is because the clients like it. They don't want a physical office to come to. They want to be able to get an update on their account at 8:00 at night. And if you're set up at home properly, so I don't know. There's some stuff out there like that too.
well, from that perspective, I mean, do y'all think, we stay away from the stock market at this point in time, or do we,
I think everything's still on sale. So I'm like, man, I mean, Tesla's doing pretty good on their numbers, but a lot of stuff is still low. So I think it's, I think the fundamental, to me, the way to think this through is really simple. It's like, where were things before? Well, in this very radical dip, what's going to happen when things return back to normal? And the question is, because are people going to get on airplanes again? Of course they are. Of course people will travel again. And is there a bunch of pent up travel that once it finally gets solved and feels good, people are going to super travel? Of course they are. So it's just a waiting period of what's that amount of time where they're not going to travel, and then they're going to travel again. So I think anything like that's an obvious, once things get turned back on, that gets used again. To me, are obvious examples of things that we should invest in while it's down. So my opinion is, I just don't know specifically what those things are, but that would be the very simple way of understanding it is once people feel comfortable doing this again. Now, will that be 2 years from now or next week? I'm not really sure. But I don't know that any of us are in a super hurry for this money, especially if things like Delta jump back up, I don't know where it is right now, but a 30 number, give or take. And then, if that jumps back up to a 60 number, I mean, that's fine. That's great. Let's do more of that. So
Right.
I just don't know. There's people smarter than me that have thought through that, but that's the general, when I look at it, is like, well, stuff's going to, like the restaurant industry. I mean, as soon as that's easy to do and people feel comfortable and whatever, that all just turns right back on, and a bunch of people can go right back to work and get those jobs. And there's low overhead to train them, even if they're totally new staff. And it's some of those things are simple to turn back on that have been turned off. So looking for those things. I'm not really sure what categories. I mean, gas, obviously, like you were talking about oil, James. I mean, oil's going to come back. I mean, gas has been super cheap, but it's because no one's buying it right now. But that's going to change. And so the question is just when. When is that stuff going to change, and how low can we get it and hold on to it for a while? So I think for me, I guess my summary is I'm willing to think of this as a 1 to 2 year play, not a 30, 90 day or day gain kind of thing, even though we've seen radical changes like that. But if we kind of look at this over the long term, and I think obviously, I don't know, we started this as a stock investment group, I'm not sure that was I think originally we were thinking that's a slice of
just investments in general.
Yeah. So
cross take. When is that? Do we have that right after this conversation?
Well, yeah, it's been difficult to find people that are, wanting money. So, I'll tell you, if you're watching this and you're wanting money and you want it to be invested in your business, like, we're up for it. Right. So
government found a couple of people that wanted a couple $1 trillion.
Yeah, they did. Totally. And there's still opportunity for that for sure. It's just a matter of us, just like the rest of the world, getting back into the rhythm and finding somebody who wants to pitch us on an idea. I think that there's opportunity for that, but right now, I feel like that our money just sitting there not doing anything is worse, even if it dipped down again for a little bit. If we, put half of that $29,000 into a 1 to 2 year investment, left the rest in cash for right now, I'm comfortable with that going down again. Like, I don't really, have an issue with that. And then maybe play around with the rest of it in, James's world. That I know I keep going back to that a little bit, but that would be another use of those funds. And then we got the investment in Croft, which is, continuing on anyway. So that's my 2 cents on what we should be doing.
So James, is your concern, share a little more, like, what kind of money you making, what kind of percentages, I don't know, share what you're comfortable with, but help us understand, what did you do?
Well, when I was at home and I was standing in front of a computer the whole time and I had multiple screens, it was fun for a while. Just
you had a nice setup.
Literally watch momentum and see that and see where things went. That is a full-time job. Being a day trader is a full-time job. I'm back in the office now and we are fortunate here as well to be experiencing, pretty rapid growth and the life insurance industry certainly did not take a hit during all this. In fact, it was quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So now I've just been, and again, I've been fortunate. I don't pretend to be some sort of savant by any stretch, but just realizing okay, these people are working on a vaccine. Let me buy some of this. It's already pretty low. And then, that was the one we talked about last time, Novavax. It went up 400 and something % in 2 months, and it's still there. I sold it. I got out of it. I got another one. So I did some of that, and then, just paying attention to, a couple different sectors. And to your point, Andre, just seeing that there was a lot of stuff that had been beat down and there was some pretty big gaps to fill, and just kind of hoping for that. But I've been super paranoid because we're darn close to the highs for all the indexes, and yet we're supposedly in a recession. all this stuff. So, my concern is when we talk about a 2-year play is I think there's a lot of money being pumped into the market to keep it here. And like from a real estate standpoint, because, I look at a lot of that, and JD and I were talking about this, there's no opportunity right now because you can't get foreclosed on. Commercial property has not experienced the fact that, I'm involved with the building that has a cell phone sales store in it. They're not hurting for money, but they know that they don't have to pay the rent. So they just said, due to unprecedented times, we're just not going to pay rent for the next 5 months. And based on this report from the government, and, just tack it on to the end. So I think a lot of that's going to wash out as we come down the stretch. I mean, the fact,
Sure.
Inventory is tight in the market because you can't get foreclosed on. So if you want to buy a house, you got to buy it from someone that actually wants to sell. But there's a bunch of people living for free and rent free and all that. So when I say it's been a great run, it has been, but I'm also super nervous about what the rest of 2020 is going to end up looking like. So
Wise words. Yeah.
But because we're talking 2 years, and I'm all for that as well. And whenever Frost Tank gets up and running, I love to diversify and find something else. But the companies that are too big to fail, quote unquote, are probably never a bad option for a longer year return to try and see, to your point, being able to double it in a couple of years would be fantastic. But even if you get 30%, that's
Still great.
Yeah. When average return is 8%, the whole goal is to try and beat the 8%. So
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm hearing like a lot of uncertainty, like a ton of uncertainty.
I gave some of my ideas. I want somebody else to have some ideas. I mean, if you want to go to bigger company, I mean, I'm intrigued by the point that I don't think commercial real estate will ever come back to where it is as far as office standpoints go. If you just want something more speculative, it's not that speculative. Trading currently at $32, but Slack has been the name right now. And
Yeah,
they're only going to get more business.
I
More and more
actually
people
heard
have to work
a
from
commercial like on the radio about Slack, like random,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what Zoom was. We started using Zoom 4 or 5 years ago. I only wish I had thought to buy Zoom stock 4 or 5 years ago. And sometimes you forget the best investments are just to look around you and say, what am I using?
What am I using? Yeah.
It's like you're driving a Tesla and you didn't buy Tesla, like you could have paid for your car, So
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Slack. So,
But where is Slack right now?
it's at 32. It's 52-week high because it went public, I think, just like a year ago, was $40. So it's up 4% today. So I mean, we can watch it a little bit, but it's hovering around 32. And again, there's been some. It is a good time to talk because there was some decent sell off for some larger companies and stuff. The mega money, I guess, as you say, this week or the end of last week. We had a nice little sell off on some stuff. So it's down from its high just a couple weeks ago. And so is Delta. I mean, Delta, we would be much higher on Delta, but it hit that. And then some of this second wave stuff came out and a bunch of other stuff and
Brought it back down.
It ran on the fact that American Airlines came out and said that they were having to add planes into the fleet and their demand was through the roof. And, everyone was vacationing for the summer and stuff. So,
Gotcha.
a lot of that stuff can bounce back. So, I'm good with keeping Delta. I'd love to do, I think the Slack's a good one. And then if anyone else has any other, ideas and something, I'm open.
Once this morning for me that
So
When-
James,
Go
you
ahead,
day
Cole.
trade a lot.
Say what?
Go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
James says he day trades, and I was wondering if he's ever done options.
Nope.
Oh man.
Nope. I have not. That's the
I was thinking this would be a smaller amount to risk if, Andre and JD wanted you to do day trading. Just say you could buy a few contracts for a couple $100, and
Oh my gosh.
is an idea.
That's true.
We really appreciate your idea, Colby, but no.
Colby, you doing any options trading?
I have
Oh, you make or lose?
both.
Well, and let me ask this, just go back to Frost Tank for a minute. Like what kind of investments would y'all be interested in for companies? Kind of like what we've looked at before, like a hard money situation, or like what would be something you want to hear about, so I can talk about that with some other business owners, kind of a thing.
I got photos.
Yeah, I'll go. Jonathan, I would say I'm very interested in probably a pretty wide net. I mean, I could see even some initial idea kind of stuff all the way into obviously a nice sweet spot is they're actually doing something. They have a cash flow problem would be probably the best kind of person, where it's like, well, they're making money. They've got a timing problem. They've got something like that where they've just, they're starting to accelerate. That's an interesting time just because they need some money. They need it kind of quick. They have profits. It's just a cash flow. Those are the most interesting to me because it's an easy way to help. It's usually a pretty short-term run to be able to get your money back out. And, it's much easier to kind of predict if you're going to win or not in something.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm definitely also interested in, we might as, I don't want to speak for everybody's money, but I'm kind of under the impression that the amount of money we've each invested is kind of a more play money. Like, let's try something. I'm not trying to lose our money at all, but I'm probably on the more risk side than the more conservative side. So
Yeah.
I think, what I would say, the things we've turned down so far have been either too speculative, where it's just like, maybe, go get a little farther down the path. Or I think there's just been clear, like, that person probably is not going to home run getting us the money back for whatever different reasons. So I think we've been smart to the things we've said no to, but we have said no a lot. So that's not an urgency to say yes, but I do think, finding, if you brought us someone that's like, man, I'm doing their numbers, it's looking good, they have a cash flow problem, and they even have the signed contract, they need something to fill the gap. To me, that's a no-brainer. Like, I'd love to step in that scenario.
Yeah, I've kind of started this group. I'll just say that we've come in light of recent issues with protests and, racism and, however you want to call it, lack of opportunity, lack of knowledge. We've started this group actually just last week and had, made up of African Americans, whites, like trying to solve these issues. And, just trying to be straight up with y'all. Like, there are some business opportunities that, that are available that are not ones that I've ever heard of. And they're not, because I'm just not in the same network. And like, a part of this issue, and like, not to go political on this or anything, but I'm just being honest with you. Like, part of the issue is there's just not enough networking between, our different races. There's just not, like, we're not interacting. We're not hearing about the same opportunity. The same opportunity isn't available. Look at this panel that we have right here, right? Like, I mean, and so
Yeah.
there are opportunities that are coming up like that that I think might be to where we could have an even bigger impact on, you know, even the socioeconomic like thing that we got going on now. And I don't even really know the right way to say it because it is such like a sensitive issue right now. But I guess what I'm saying is like, if there is other opportunities, I think that's where we can have the biggest impact right now too, just across the board. Um, whether or not you believe in that or whatever, it's still an investment opportunity, right? And so I think that's a place where we might be able to find opportunity for investment in businesses that are just now starting, that are, that could be launched even quicker because of that. And hearing about those opportunities, I think is something that we could have, an impact on. So
I love that. So
and if any of you all, I know Colby, you and James aren't here, but we meet at 5:30 on Thursdays. Andre, if you're interested in coming at the Troy here, and we're just literally like, it's no judgment, it's no preconceived notions, it's literally just a place to network, and we are going to come up with some solutions, some actions, something to do to make this different, even in Chattanooga. Just in Chattanooga is what we're focused on right now. So
it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to make sure, because I've kind of I've been focused on other things, right? Like, so Frost Tank, I think, will come back on our next episode. Like, we will have some opportunities to invest in businesses in our next episode for sure. So, in light of time and where we are now, I mean, do we want to make a decision on making some investment with that other $29,000 that we got sitting in? I guess it's just sitting in a cash account right now, James?
Yeah, it's just in the Charles Schwab account, just as cash.
So, do y'all want to peel off 50% of that? Do we want to keep some of it in cash?
I mean, it may be too early, but on some of the conversations you've been having, Jonathan, I mean, do you feel like 30,000 is enough for like some of the people that you've been talking to? Like, if we did
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, there's one guy who, he's Tony Oliver. He's got a cleaning business. He's thinking about investing in some, coronavirus, like, these guns or whatever that they like spray the special stuff like in your offices and things like that. That's I don't know the exact amount, but let's say that's a $2,500 investment. I mean, that's a big deal. Like, he can charge an extra $150 a month for each one of his clients. That's an extra $800 a month that he could be charging.
right.
In light of that being on everybody's mind now, they would be more likely to act on that, right? Like,
For sure.
loans for me, right? Like, people are interested in that. Like, so, for him to be able to act quickly on that, would be kind of a big deal.
I guess I'm wondering. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, so what I could do, if y'all are, if right now we're kind of uncertain, just because it's the four of us, and I know that like our group kind of, it's a little bit more nimble. So, maybe we just kind of hold right now and kind of see where these next couple weeks, and we go ahead and set a time pretty quickly to meet again the first week of July or something. And I come up with some more of those opportunities because I think they're there.
Yeah.
That could be an option for us as well.
Well, what I like about that, I love investing in people, and I love being able to kind of know, like, this is, being able to talk to the person, understand their business and where they're trying to go. I love that a lot. And because the stock market stuff, there's just a whole different set of psychology and things that are happening there that, I mean, a cleaning business probably is going to continue. More people are probably interested in a deeper kind of sanitary level of cleanliness in their office than they ever have been before.
Right.
It's a great opportunity to come in this, things like that make a lot of sense. It's easy to kind of have conversations, easy to see where things have already gone. And so, yeah, I'm personally very interested in that sort of thing for sure.
And the other thing about it too is, I mean, it teaches that business owner too, what it's like to have what is it like? What does this really mean? I mean, and no offense, I mean, there's that lack of knowledge. Like what does this mean? Like, what does it mean to have a promissory note and like that payment and how to plan for that and all that kind of stuff? I mean, that's all a part of, the education and the, and the experience of it as well. So, I'm with you. Like, I mean, I love, like, if I'm going to do in the market, like I'm going to James's world, like no doubt about it. Let's see what happens over the next 60 to 90 days. But another way to play that, I think, is dealing with real people and their issues. And gosh, where the economy is, I know, like I said, I haven't been on the forefront, and I'm sorry about that, on finding opportunities for Frost Tank, but we just got to look around the corner. Like they are there, especially with business owners right now. So with what's happened.
Great. From the wonderful cloud of Zoom, a message has come in that says, I can create an online application for people to fill out for the Frost Tank. What kinds of questions do you want answered before them coming on, so that we can kind of have some of that in front of us. So
that's a really good idea.
Great
Cloud.
Great question, Zoom bot. No, great question, Meg. So yeah, so that's a good point. I mean, it would be nice. I mean, I think, what we don't want to do is bog people down, but if we did have some understanding of this is where their company financially is, some level of where they are, where are they growing or shrinking? Why do they need this opportunity? What do they expect the return to be? I mean, I think we can create some real basic questions to just.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I mean, that would be it, right? Like naming your business, address, phone number, basic.
How long have you been in business?
Say what?
How long they've been in business.
Yeah, how long they've been in business. What are they going to use the money for? How are they going to pay the money back? What's their plan for paying that money back? And, I would assume decently, a 10% interest rate or something like that, like if it's going to be a quick payback. And yeah, I mean, I think that would be some great information for us to be able to make a determination.
Cool.
Okay. So, I mean, for right now, then we just holding tight and we have another meeting here. And I mean, are y'all up for having another meeting in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I definitely am. I would say in general, stuff is low still right now. And so it is interesting to me. I wish I had more capacity. Like, it's the same thing. My company's been so slammed, which is what a blessing. But, we're making plenty of money there. So that's the right place to put it. But things are low. Things are on sale right now. And I think we're going to see, it's an election year. And so there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. And so I'm definitely interested if people think they see some stuff that's historically been a lot higher and it's now low right now. I'm very interested in those and what they are for sure. So, but with that said, if you feel like you're going to bring some other more Frost Tank type of examples, then, probably having 30 grand on hand that's easy for us to get to probably makes smart. It's probably smart for us to keep it there and, have access to that.
Yeah.
I mean, but yes, things are low. Things are.
What do you think? Low. What do you think, James and Colby? Final thoughts.
I mean, it only takes 3 days for cash to settle out of an account. So if we really needed access to it, do I think, let's just use the two we've been talking about. Do I think Delta and
Slack
are going to drop from 30 to 15 and now we're only left with we're
right.
Pretty much about could we see a 3% drop or 4% or something and just be bad timing when we need cash out? Yes, but to Andre's point, if all of us are agreeing, I mean, I've got my super conservative, safe investment plays. Like the whole point of doing this was to get outside of my comfort zone. And I think probably the reason
Options.
no. I think the reason I started playing, let's short Amazon too while we're at it, right? They're probably overvalued. But I just don't know enough about it. I know people that kill it at it, but I don't think I would have started doing the day trading. I don't think I would have been able to play around and make some of the money that I did had it not been for this group, had it not forced me to start looking at stocks and thinking about it ahead of time and trying to sound as smart as Andre does, in a round table. I mean, that kind of got me back into it. And it reminded me why I went to school for this and just happened to end up in sales instead. But so anyways, I'm okay doing that if everyone else is, from that standpoint. And I mean, if it comes down to it and somebody needs 30 and we've got 29, then, I think we could all throw a couple $100 in to get there. So, but I'm interested in the other stuff too. I mean, you got me thinking about those contamination things because I know a guy I went to school with, they make them in Orlando. It's a company called Aeroclave, and they're selling those things like crazy. And somebody like Tony could get one of those, and instead of hiring another employee, you go set these giant machines that they use in hospitals and stuff in a room, hit a button and walk away, and it decontaminates the whole thing. But they're not cheap. You got to buy a handful of them. So, ideas like that are cool.
Yeah, my uncle actually just invented a new one of those, and so he brought a prototype to my house. So I need to ask him if he's looking for investment because he's got a really cool. It's really
Now there's a A round style.
I know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll see where he is on it. I don't know where he is with it, but he brought it up and.
So then do you want to just split up the 29,000 between Delta and Slack?
I mean, yeah. What do we do? So do we push that out to the team that's not on the call? Make the recommendation.
We just make the decision.
At least 15,000 to put into some other stocks.
What'd you say, James?
Yeah, so the 5-person majority.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say, how about this? Let's do 10,000 more in Delta and 10,000 in Slack.
Let's do it.
So we're at this very present moment with the market value of Delta, we would officially have, if I sold it right now, we'd be at $40,072. So if that helps you understand, where you want to, so essentially you want to do 21,000 in Delta, 10,000 in Slack, and about 9,000 change in cash. And Colby's inventing another machine in the background.
I know. Colby, what does that sound? I didn't quite catch because of Colby's fantastic sound effects. I didn't quite catch the last part of that, James.
So then that would, if we did 10 and 10, that would put the total at just shy of 21,000 in Delta, 10,000 in Slack, and then 29,113 then 9,113 in cash remaining if we did it that way. Or do we just split the remaining cash 50-50 and put it into both and
When has Slack, have they announced any earnings? I just haven't followed their, because here's what's going to happen. Obviously, Slack is making more money today than they've ever made, right? Without knowing anything about their business at all, of course they are, because more people are using it than ever before. So, that's there's some tail to that of time before that comes to public ears. And so, whenever that happens, there's going to be some excitement, I would imagine. I'm guessing. It'd be interesting to know when that is, because that could probably give us a shorter term, if we wanted to bail out then at that point, that would be a nice probably spot to do that. Of course, probably the next quarter will be even better. So it's just depending on when, the margins we have. Delta, I think, is going to continue to do this, guys. I mean, it's just people aren't, if something comes out tomorrow, if somebody's like, this person died on a Delta plane from coronavirus while they were in the air, there's going to be something that's going to everyone on this plane now got coronavirus and is dead. I mean, there's anything like that. It's super volatile right now. So we just have to realize money we're putting into Delta, we got to ride that for a while to get on the other side of it. So that's the only downside. If we feel like there's some investment opportunities, I guess what I'm saying is I would be more interested in putting money into Slack if we feel like we're going to need to take some of that money back out in the next, let's just call it 60 days. That feels like a better place to kind of have a more upward trajectory than Delta, where it's like, well, crap, they need it today.
It's like a longer term.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, it's super down today because of the airplane crash that happened. Please no, but like something terrible could happen, and then that could really be affected.
Well, then let's put 20,000 in Slack and 9,000 in Delta.
And just to give you that brief earnings report overview, they announced earnings for the first quarter on June 4th. And so that was their peak run up to 41, which you always get the pre-earnings pump. They beat earnings. They had estimated 187. They reported 201, but they still had a sell-off. And this article claims it's because people just assumed everybody was going to have 1,000% earnings growth because everyone works from home. And so then they've rebounded up to where we're at now, so they've been in an uptrend since. And so we're not going to see another, major thing like that. So.
Yep. So, okay, well, good news. That's exactly what we just described. So that makes sense. And I would say it sounds smarter for us to put some more money in Slack then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. Engage.
And Delta still is in a nice uptrend from its low of 17. We just happened to stop loss at that low. So that was not only snafu was as we learned about options maybe from Colby, is learning about stop losses and making sure that we all know where those are set at. So and I need to see, I don't know if he has one, if there was one previously set for Delta on that. I don't foresee anything, but again, if we get a really bad second wave report or something like that, like you said, you never know when you see that. Or Slack ends up being like Luck and Coffee, where they just made up the entire company. So.
Right. So all right, well, we're gonna put 20 grand in Slack.
Right, and then that still leaves, just as a cash balance, 9,113. Unless you want to allocate that to Delta, then basically have 20 and 20.
Let's put that.
Which is my vote.
Do it. Delta.
Let's put that into Delta, and then we will find some more Frost Tank possibilities, and then we'll pull it out of the Slack account. Or, who's to say we couldn't, get a $5,000 opportunity? I mean, I'd throw $1,000 back in, to make that happen. Sure. I'm sure y'all would too if it was the right deal.
Yeah, we still have the JD investment if we need to tap that too, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes.
Plus James is rich. All this money he's made on these day trading, he can just fund all of it.
The returns, the percentage return.
Hey, Andre, that's going to be a nice clip. I'm so glad you said that. Like, we can use that as a clip to preview this show. James is rich.
I took my perceived earnings from our Tesla investment, put them into,
excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you all so much.
Yep. Thanks,
We've got our game plan right. We've got our game plan now. I appreciate you sticking in there with me and getting back on the Zoom call. And I think If y'all are good with it, we'll try to arrange one in the next 2 weeks. Maybe get it after the 4th, that week of July after the 4th of July, and we'll reconvene then. We'll have more Frost Tank opportunities, and we'll see what happens with our investment strategy in the stock market. So
with the Frost Tank thing too, so if you do that on application, but especially if you guys aren't going to be live in studio anytime soon, these Zoom meetings are a lot easier to accomplish when everyone's pulled in different directions, and B, it'd be pretty cool to have them, even if they don't have to be high cinema quality, but pre-film a little bit of a pitch that could be sent to all of us ahead of time, so that we're a little more. I think that was always the problem before, is we would get kind of hit this concept I'd never heard of, and then we're all over here trying to Google stuff and come up with questions.
Yeah, I mean, Meg, it would be great for them to do a 1-minute video about their business to submit to us.
Unless it's Andre's uncle, and then I'm in. Let's take over the contamination world.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much to share, so we'll just wait. I'll talk to him and we'll see.
Also, that painting has really just captivated me this whole time.
This is our beautiful city of Chattanooga.
That is awesome.
Maybe this is the year 2020 represented in a painting. I don't know. So
yeah,
there it is.
That's great. All right, thanks. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching the VIP Investment Club, and we'll be back with another episode next month.